Toy Story is everybody's favorite kids film franchise. There couldn't be anything dark about that, right? Wrong! I'm your host, Eric, and this is the top 10 dark hidden messages in Toy Story you never knew about. Number 10, references to the Illuminati. Remember when we were in middle school and all we could talk about was the Illuminati? No? Just me? Well, anyway, one of the darkest messages in Toy Story 3 is about them. For those who don't know, the Illuminati is a group that may or may not exist, depending on who you ask, that controls and watches the human race. They have been pulling the strings for all of human history. In the film, it is supposedly referenced when the film's main antagonist, Lotso Huggin' Bear, changes Buzz Lightyear's settings from play to demo. This has been seen by many as an act of brainwashing in order to spy on the other dolls. At the climax of the film, the character Ken doll warns the group about Lotso, saying, "He's made us into a pyramid and put himself on the top." And if you didn't know, a pyramid with an eyeball at the top is literally the symbol for the Illuminati. Now you know. What do you think? Is this a stretch, or did the Illuminati intentionally throw this in the film? I bet they did. I know you're watching. Number 9, neglected childhood. When I was a kid, there were very few characters in animation that frightened me more than Sid. You know, the big bad bully of the first film that tortures toys? I mean, what kid wouldn't be scared of him? He's literally dressed up as the Punisher. Well, you know, if I'm being honest, I kind of wore a lot of Punisher shirts when I was a kid too. I mean, I still do. But I swear, I didn't torture toys. Now, as much as we are programmed to despise the kid, we actually might have to start feeling bad for him. It is clear in the film that Sid is troubled, but it isn't until you dive deeper that you realize how rough his life actually is. In one scene, it is shown that Sid's father is passed out surrounded by empty pop cans. I know what you're thinking. He's snoozing. Well, unfortunately, that isn't the case. Pixar had to use pop cans due to the fact that the film was for children, but the cans actually represent empty liquor bottles. Sid's father was a raging alcoholic, and it is speculated that the suffering that Sid inflicts upon the toys is the pain that he suffered in his childhood. Number 8, the rise of technology and the fall of the West. Now, this one is going to be excited for anyone who played the Red Dead Redemption games. I mean, I did. Now, I think it is clear to most that the surface symbolism between Woody and Buzz is out with the old and in with the new, right? I mean, that is literally the premise of the film, but if you dig deeper, it becomes far more inspired by history than you might have imagined. For those who aren't scholars about the Wild West, here's a small breakdown. During the late 1800s to the early 1900s, there were massive technological and cultural advancements. For many, this was new and exciting. They couldn't wait to be a part of progress. But for others, it was the end of their way of life. So throughout the first Toy Story film, we are witnessing Woody, who resembles the old ways, try to fight to save what he knows. But no matter how hard he tries, he cannot fight change. At number 7, we got Sid's aptitude for destruction. Sid's bedroom is a symbol of destruction and chaos that he creates throughout the film. This includes his toys being dismembered, which can be read as an allegory for childhood trauma, as mentioned earlier. In addition to the physical destruction, Sid's mental capacity for understanding why his behavior is seen as wrong is also lacking. He does not understand the consequences of his actions and often blames others for what he has done or for why he is doing things. This can be seen when he tries to blame Buzz Lightyear for being taken away from Andy's room, or when he brushes off Woody's attempts to explain why his behavior is not acceptable. The film does a brilliant job with this for many reasons, but the most important is we never know whether or not Sid is a product of nature or nurture. It is clear that he does have trauma, but he also exhibits behavior that is commonly seen amongst those who are naturally violent as well. Number 6, the gap between Pixar and Disney. Besides talking about cowboys and whatnot, there is actually a second allegory connected to Buzz and Woody's relationship, and that is the evolution of animation. I know what you're thinking, so what? Animation got better. How is that dark? Well, I'm glad you asked. The evolution of animation was not as smooth as you might think and actually came at a great price for many. In this case, Woody represents Disney and Buzz represents Pixar. At the forefront of new animation, Pixar led the charge, while Disney was still in what you could call the dark ages. As time went on, the need for old gen animators became scarce. Many people lost their jobs. See? What did I tell you? Darker than you thought, right? Number 5, Immortality. As the great Wolverine once said, life is a gift. Immortality is a curse. Well, this statement holds very true within the Toy Story franchise as well. At the end of every film, we end up feeling happy, as we are all supposed to at the end of a kid's movie, right? Well, perhaps, but let's think about it for a bit longer. Throughout the films, it has been made clear that the toys go through generations of owners. The only thing that stops that is if they're destroyed. But what if they're not? It is a scary thought to think about one of our favorite toys being lost forever and being forced to experience it all, with no end. I mean, the film never specifically mentions this, but logically it makes sense. I get it though, you can't tell kids about eternal loneliness and all that jazz, but it's there, trust me. Number 4, Jessie's fear of abandonment. When Woody is trying to convince Jessie to come with them out of Sid's home, she recalls being abandoned by her previous owner, Emily. A moment that highlights her deep-seated fear of abandonment. Woody is able to empathize with her, and with a newfound understanding of her fears, he works hard to gain her trust. The two eventually escape from Sid's home and embark on their own adventure back to Andy's house. This sequence serves as an important reminder that friendship can come in many forms. It highlights the power of empathy and shows us that there's a deep connection that can be formed between people or toys, regardless of age or background. This moment also sets up an important theme for the Toy Story franchise as a whole, that true friendships are forged through shared experience, mutual understanding, and sincere support. As Andy says in Toy Story 3, "You have been my friend all these years. You helped me when I was lost and needed you the most." Number 3, Andy's mom abandoning Jessie. Somebody name a cooler cowgirl than Jessie. Come on, I'll wait. Yes, the cowgirl we have all come to know and love for her hyperactive and witty demeanor may have a sadder backstory than you think. Again, I know what you're thinking. Eric, we already know her backstory. You just talked about it in the last point. Okay. But do we really? We all know Jessie was given away by her owner, okay? I'll give you that. But who was she? Well, it actually seems pretty clear, or at least debatable, that Jessie's old owner was actually Andy's mom. In a flashback scene, we get to see what Jessie's old life used to be like. She was having the time of her life with her previous owner. In the scene, the girl is wearing a red cowboy hat with white trim, the same one that Andy ends up wearing as a young boy. I guess no matter what we do, we always end up at home. Number 2, Andy's father. Now this has to be one of the saddest theories out there, but here it is. Within the Toy Story franchise, there has been an absent figure in Andy's life. His father. Throughout 4 films, we never get a single mention of him. Or so we thought, at least. When you go to the depths of the internet, you will find a theory stating that Andy's father has actually passed. How do you come to this conclusion, you may ask? Well, to start, when Woody was accidentally almost sold at a garage sale, Andy's mom swipes him back and says, "Woody is an old family toy," even though we're made to believe that Andy has been Woody's only owner. So how does this work? Well, look how Andy's name is written on Woody's foot compared to Buzz's foot. 2 different sets of handwriting. Maybe Andy is Andy Jr. At the number 1 spot, we've got the connection to the pianist. This is certainly the darkest hidden message throughout the entire franchise. If you watch Toy Story 3 with a very grim and historical eye, you will notice that the film follows the horrific atrocities that were committed during the Second World War against the Jewish people. The film actually follows a very similar plot line to Adrian Brody's film The Pianist, which follows a Jewish man trying to survive in German-occupied Poland during the Second World War. The imagery is disturbing and uncanny when you think about it in this lens. You know, rounding up the toys, hiding in the attic, etc. There is no doubt in my mind that this has to be one of, if not the darkest hidden messages a kid's film has ever included. If you like this video, please hit that like and subscribe button and the bell notification. Again, I'm your host, Eric. Thank you so much for watching.